Welcome to today's presentation here. We're going over fatigue. Is it really just lack of sleep? We're going to dive into and talk about different types of fatigue and outline this today. Who am I? I'm Coach Brian. I've been a health coach for the last 20 years or so. I've been a personal trainer. I've owned gyms. I've been doing remote health, nutrition coaching. It all started back in 2001 with group exercise. Have a significant amount of experience talking to people every single day about their everyday health situations, what they are experiencing, how their bodies are reacting, better lifestyles, habits, nutrition, fitness. Ultimately, you guys are one of about 12 or 13 actual conversations I'll be having today, something dealing with health. So every day I get a lot of practice. So please share, text, message, comment below in the chat, and we will get going. So fatigue today. What we're going to go over, the contents of our presentation are tiredness versus fatigue. What is it really? Which one are you dealing with the most? Reasons for fatigue, fighting fatigue at its source, and proactive ways to better your energy as we go. Because it's all about energy. The more energy you have in the day, the more productive and exciting things are, the more you can do with your everyday life, and it ends up being a very enjoyable. Thanks for the chat disabled, so we'll just use the Q&A box today. That works out great. You can Q&A directly to me or in the group. Either way works great. So I'll be checking that out as we go back into fatigue. So let's define tiredness versus fatigue. Sloths. We did sloths in Costa Rica this year. We celebrated my wife's 40th birthday there. I'm 41. I have 4 kids, 14 to 8, 3 boys and a girl. I know tiredness and I know fatigue. I've been running my own business for the baker's dozen, I believe, and doing this on my own. There's been some really late night, really early mornings in there, especially running a gym and opening it up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Have to be there 4:45. So quick math says I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning on those days to help get the gym going and get people moving and stuff. So, all right. So tiredness it's a state of mind or the body that you need rest. We may all feel this way. Now, feeling sleepy is when a person doesn't have enough good quality sleep. There's lack of stimulation. You're bored. There's nothing externally happening or internally happening in your body. There are certain health conditions that can interfere with sleep, restless leg syndrome, sleep apnea. The sleep apnea, unfortunately, I see more and more people dealing and struggling with that. And that is obviously not exciting to wear this big face mask thing and have this oxygen forced into your body to breathe better. And there are some anatomical issues like your tongue or whatnot, but I think a lot of it ends up being with body weight and your body's ability to breathe more naturally there as well. So staying healthy and fit can definitely help with lung capacity and breathing and all. Now, excuse me, sleepiness is short term. We can get a nap in and you feel revived. Sleepiness and drowsiness are just things that if we get that regular sleep schedule going, bedtime, a morning wake time, and just fall into the habits of actually going to bed when you say you should and know you should, because we're all adults and we're not staying up too late watching something on yet another screen as we stare at a screen, and as we have little screens that we carry in our pocket as well. Now, fatigue is extreme tiredness. We're constantly in a fatigue state. There's weariness. There's this reduced ability to motivate yourself for concentration. You definitely lack concentration. You don't want to move. I always have this general saying with my clients, and it's Movement is energy. Get up and move your body, blood starts flowing, the positive, good hormones get released, you feel alert, and you can actually function. So movement can help, but again, sleeping is the main one. Now, chronic or acute, those are two different forms of it. We'll dive into what that actually looks like and describe that in general. Hopefully we don't have any chronic fatigued people on this. And again, some of the solutions will be moving, eating better, getting a sleep schedule to help resolve this stuff. Now, burnout, as well as compassion fatigue, is it could be called if you really enjoy what you do. I could have fallen in that. I would work so much because I enjoyed what I did. I also had to keep the gym going and all, but that does happen. In fact, I have a gentleman that I reference in my mind right now. Jay is his name. He has a YouTube channel. His wife does, actually, and he runs all the back end stuff. They have been doing well enough that they even hire employees and such. So they have two different people working for him. This gentleman is more of a natural introvert and can experience burnout when he is go, constantly on demand and not allowing himself scheduled downtime. That's causing him burnout in his physical body, in his mental awareness and focus, his ability to be productive. It affects his food choices, his movement patterns, and ultimately taking care of himself. So burnout does happen when we're not consciously scheduling in more breaks and such. Causes of fatigue can be psychological, physiological, and physical. So psychological, like in your mind, brain fog or just lack of concentration. Physiological, your body is dealing with certain situations, say the restless leg syndrome, and your body's just not adapting well or recovering. And the physicalness of this weight of actual tiredness and not wanting to move could be an easy way to describe those. So symptoms of fatigue. We'll go through a couple of these. The most obvious ones, we have sleeplessness. Headache could be caused because you're constantly straining. Aching muscles, there's weakness, impaired judgment, and decision making. That decision fatigue is a real thing, and the more decisions you need to make in a day, you will be more and more tired. That's why you always want to prioritize the most important tasks in your day earlier in the day, or your most important meetings, so you get something done and you're not trying to stay alert and focused toward the end of the day. Certainly, I know doing this and talking with tons of people for years is responsibilities stack as the day goes on. So you're constantly going to be more put on your shoulders as the day goes. Therefore, if you are tired, you can only rely on coffee. There's coffee in my Ninja Turtles cup because I like the Turtles. I'm born in 82. There you go. Product of my youth. But the coffee, we don't want to rely on stimulants to function. That will really hit you upside the head with burnout and even potentially chronic or adrenal fatigue, where you've really tapped out your body in say stimulants rather than a natural progression of activity and rest. What else we have? Reduced immune system. That's an obvious. If we're overly tired, we're that much more likely to be sick and ill. You can't remember, you can't concentrate. Your motivation is very low. We all probably can agree on that one. If you're tired, you're not motivated to do much. Side effects. Reduced ability to pay attention. You can't make decisions quickly or effectively. Your attention is minimal. It's easy to get disrupted and distracted. Your reaction time on the road, if you're driving and you're really fatigued, you might take a split second longer to react to a certain traffic situation that could cause potential of an accident. That's obviously not great. Productivity. I did a productivity talk on Tuesday. Productivity is the combination of being able to get the outputs and the inputs to align with getting you the most. So how much goods and services can you produce in the least amount of time with what resources you do have to create those. Judgment, memory, you just can't stay awake. Forgetfulness, you might get a nickname at the office if you get caught sleeping at 2 o'clock too many times. Your rate of errors go up. And if, depending on your work situation, if you are big into numbers and that matters, you miss a zero somewhere, you're way off all of a sudden and people are questioning you. So why am I tired in the first place? So we have these 3 causes of fatigue. We have psychological, physiological, and physical in the body. So the causes of fatigue, we obviously know stress, something to do that, the anxiety, worry, depression type states, being constantly turned on here, but not physically tired in the body. I find that happens quite a lot. There's a gentleman, Javester is his name. I'm actually still working with him. I worked with him for many, many, many months now. He said, Ryan, I found the cure to my insomnia. I said, oh yeah, well, what's that? He said 15,000 steps. So what we realized, and he definitely realized, is he was sitting in so much inactivity in the day. He wasn't physically tired when it was time to go to sleep, but he allowed his mind to roam and wander, and he would just not sleep very well. We kicked up his physical exertion and burned more calories in the day. He got quite a bit more rest. This guy here, my step tracker, the Apple Watch, Fitbit, or an off-brand. There's plenty of off-brands online on Amazon. I got this. It's Amazfit. It's an off-brand. I spent at least 50-60% less on this watch than I did my previous Fitbit, and so I made the shift. We got one for my son, and then my wife got one to match him, and then all of a sudden the whole family has this brand. So at the cost of what it is, it's this one's been 2+ years rolling on me. Very good. It does all the things I need. I personally am not going to get an Apple Watch. I already have my phone on person all the time. I'm near my computer a lot. Why do I want another computer on my wrist? So I get important notifications like when my wife is wanting my attention or she calls or texts me. But other than that, there's very little things that get transmitted from my phone to my watch that keeps me more productive, less distracted. If you're constantly having your phone lighting up, that in and of itself can cause a lot of fatigue because you just aren't productive. You're constantly getting pulled away because some app wanted to notify you to do something, or this other thing is calling your attention in the email for email marketing and trying to sell you something, or that's just the nature of our society. There's a lot of distractions and interruptions, which then causes more stress, anxiety, and depression because you're not getting anything done and you're tired. And you look up from your phone, you're like, wow, there went 5 to 60 minutes gone, and I really didn't get anything accomplished. And now fatigue in physiological. So there's the actual lack of sleep. It develops into poor nutrition. Poor nutrition in and of itself. I spend a significant amount of time talking to people about their nutritional habits, how to create better balanced meals, be better prepped and prepared and planned, to make better decisions and actually fuel their body for energy with adequate calorie intake and not overeating because they are ill prepared. Lack of or too much movement. So you're like, too much movement? Well, if you're training for a marathon, physiologically, you're constantly tired. The last gentleman I talked with was Chris. We've been working on a half marathon training programs. The guy has to do easily 50 minutes a day or more to be able to hit his fitness goals and be adequately prepared and trained for the effort, speed, and the outcome result that he's looking for in the marathon. Now, the actual body issues. So we have medical conditions. So we mentioned like the restless leg syndrome or sleep apnea, diabetes, chronic fatigue. Those are things that can show up from fatigue or create fatigue in and of itself. Diabetes in and of itself offers poor circulation in the body. Therefore, if you're not circulating your blood properly and getting it to return to the heart and getting new blood into the body, that in and of itself will cause fatigue. The psychological causes. So probably you could raise your hand or shake your head. Long work hours before work activities. That in and of itself, I am up at 6:45 to get my 3 boys to school. Then I come home and get my daughter to school. That means that from basically 6:45 to 9 o'clock, there's some form of school preparation in my day, which is I'm blessed to have, and I'm really excited and thankful. Sometimes I work around 8 to 9, but I usually try to push people out into the other parts of the day so I can walk my daughter to school and then also spend the time with my 3 boys as we drive to their middle school. All 3 boys in middle school, 1 in elementary. And so we listen, the boys and I, we listen to audiobooks to and from school because, if you're a parent, hey, how was your day? And they're like, good. And that's all they give you. And they'll talk to my wife a lot more than me. So I just chose that we're going to spend our time listening to audiobooks and be engaged a bit more there. Now, so we've got, then the after school activities start. For me, school pickup starts leaving the house at 3 o'clock, get them at 3:20. My daughter's at 3:45. Then there's a variety of after school activities. Currently we're in dance. We have 2 dance classes. We've got 2 fencing classes sessions. We've got 1 soccer. We have 4 swim sessions. There's after school for a theater production that the 3 are in on various levels, depending on what their roles are in the play. There's orchestra, steel drums, band, tuba. There's a lot of things going on. And then there's other family stuff. So the day can get super busy, and that in and of itself can cause a lot of stress navigating. What are we doing for dinner tonight? Only two out of the 6 are even home because the others are doing stuff or just a very active family. Finding that work-life balance. Fortunately, I work from home, and I'm blessed to have figured out how to do that. So my work-life balance can coincide, but also I have 6 people that in the household that I am making sure that we have money in the bank to do the things that need done. We also have some pets as well, cats and dog and whatnot. So it's just a very busy life. Bereavement, we have life changes, things that happen in our everyday can cause this type of stress. Anxiety comes ups and downs in the energy levels, often feeling overwhelmed. If you're unclear in just even the slightest bit of what your work situation is, of clarity in a project, that in and of itself can cause overwhelm and your lack of ability to keep moving forward. There's a significant more hesitation and procrastination because you just this one little sliver you don't understand, which creates stress. Possible. There's obviously we can medicate for that as well. Depression is very low energy. So the anxiety is more about like worry and the thoughts in your brain, and depression is more about your energy being very low. And certainly there's some mental things as well, and mental health is critically important to doing this. And oftentimes moving and eating healthier and being able to talk to someone are very simple. Drink more water. Those are some very simple strategies to start moving you out of these physiological stressors on the body. So you just lack of sleep, there's medication, there's stress, there's boredom, a variety of life stressors. So physiological causes. Depression, it's an illness characterized by severe or prolonged feelings of sadness, dejection, hopelessness. And when people are depressed, commonly experience chronic fatigue. So there's just this lack of desire to do much. And in those situations, especially with mental health being much more talked about in even the last 10 years or 30 years, then there's lots of options for you, from actually going to sit with someone to even having an AI app on your phone that you can communicate with and have an AI body to just bounce things off of. So there's a lot of a wide variety of different things, or even journaling, as simple as paper and pencil together, writing some of your thoughts can really help get things out of you to allow you to feel a little bit more at peace with certain situations you're dealing with. Anxiety and stress. Person who's chronically anxious and stressed keeps their body in overdrive. So there's constant tension and there's conflict and friction happening in the body. You can't just be at ease. You go into a room, you immediately start analyzing the place. If you're an empath, you start feeling the feels of what people are feeling in you. So there's this constant flooding of adrenaline and dopamine and serotonin just fluctuating like crazy in your body, causing you to feel a certain way. Certainly grief can cause a heavy amount. I unfortunately had a gentleman that I worked with about 2 weeks ago. His mother passed. So there's this gap in our work together because he has to, aside from the loss, there's the physical nature of managing all the back end stuff of when someone passes away. And so he's dealing with that. And so those are causing some thoughts and feelings and such for him. I just encourage him to take good care of himself to the best that he can, and that I'm here to help support him however I can. Physiological causes of lack of sleep or stress, anxiety. So there's this constant busyness in your mind that won't turn off. You're trying to problem solve when you should be sleeping at 2 a.m. or something. That's just not a great time to be thinking about stuff. Oftentimes just writing those intentions or questions or thoughts down on paper before you go to bed can send that into the universe, your subconscious, to work on it while you actually sleep. So it can give you that release of worry or tension that you have to think about this thing. Lack of sleep is just being distracted. We see that constantly if people are chronically underslept because of screens and their impact on you. There's a reason, there's a flow of why TV shows are the way they are. They've been studied and practiced to want you to watch the next one, hence why we have binge watching type situations now where we Netflix and chill for way too long, causing you to just not get rest. Poor nutrition, lack of healthy choices. If you're relying on someone else to cook your food, say McDonald's or other fast food restaurants, or just even going to a restaurant in and of itself, I call it the power of choice. What I mean by that is when you're choosing, if you are making the decisions around what you're eating and portions and all that, or you're letting someone else do that to you. So it's really important to know and understand that nutrition does play an impact in this to keep you alert, energized. Overscheduled oftentimes equals you don't cook. Oftentimes in my world, working with people to help them better with meal preparation, I'm looking for the first easiest way for someone to start shifting in their relationship with food and their understanding of it. We're going to go for convenience first and then work convenience into their life. Therefore, if I can get them to cook some of their food, then I most certainly will. And we just keep working through this so that they are in control of their food, their nutrition and all. Being unmotivated it's literally just easier for most to stop off on a way home and just grab something because it's quick, it's easy, it's simple. And Burger King or Chick-fil-A even, they've gave you the options to eat a certain way and pick their food. Again, going back to nutrition coaching, how do I get someone to see that it's actually easier, more convenient, and cost effective for them to actually make food at home? So that ends up being the shift that we look to do as well. Eating out too much, portion control. No matter what food you ever eat, you still control how much goes in your mouth. Okay? So you could eat McDonald's all day, every day, and still be at a healthy body weight. We won't talk about what the insides of blood panels and stuff may or may not look like, but you could maintain a healthy body weight if you just manage your calories. A lack of or too much exercise, it causes unmotivation both ways. We really want to find the right amount of activity for you to do that keeps you excited, engaged in the efforts, willing to do more and push yourself. After we're done, I've got another client that I'm actually working out with, my friend. He's going to come over. We're doing shoulders. So we're going to try and build our shoulders up and build some muscle. That keeps me really engaged, really motivated and focused to work hard there. Not recovering or not having a good scheduled workout plan could cause some stresses as well on the body, or injury. Injury is definitely something we don't want. So right now let's talk about some lifestyle with sleep. Lack of sleep. Ideally, I'd say yes, 8 hours, please. Most are going to fall in that 6 to 8 hour window. Below 6 hours, we have scientific studies that show that humans have a much harder time managing their body weight. The reason being is number one, you're literally up longer. So there's more opportunity to eat more food in a 17, 18, 20 hour day as opposed to 16 hours if you got 8 hours of sleep. There's the fatigue in and of itself will cause lack of motivated decisions. And then that in and of itself, bad food choices lead to more fatigue in your body. Hence, we have this perpetual cycle of more fatigue. Now, getting too much sleep, this is a very rare thing. If you are someone who gets way too much sleep, more than 11, I would love to hear, pop it in the Q&A. I'd be really interested in what the heck you're doing to get so much sleep, unless you're just really naturally a much longer sleeper. Now, certain people can operate on less amounts of sleep and others need more. I can function appropriately on 6-ish to 7-ish is more the average that I end up getting because of my wife being a night owl, my kids needing to be up by 6:45 or so to get to school. So I get pinched in the middle. So it gives me, if I'm in bed at midnight and I'm waking up at 6:45, that's 6 to 7 hours on average. Occasionally I do nod off earlier. I do like my sleep. I would prefer if I could rearrange my schedule, right? Go to bed at midnight, wake up at 9 and start my day then. That would be thumbs up in my book. That would be the best way for me to go about it. But my daughter's 8, so I have at least 10 more years of getting kids to school in a timely manner. So we'll see how that goes. Oftentimes for me, Saturday, Sunday are the best times of sleep, but I'm still generally scheduling coaching calls as early as 8 a.m. on the weekend just to help move my schedule along and keep most of the day open for family priorities. Now, I end up working every day. It oftentimes alleviates scheduling issues, tight scheduling or conflicts for clients, especially say in the 5 to 8 p.m. time frame, regardless of what time zone they're in. So if I can do that, and then my own, like last night we had a concert that we got there at 6. Yeah, we left the house at 6 and we got back at 9. So my one son was playing his viola in the orchestra, and then both my older two were in the steel drums playing some fun songs there. So we were there to support them. But then we get home last night and the kids never want to go to sleep. It was after 9 already. It's just right then and there equals a later evening and potentially not getting enough sleep on my end, even though I'm talking about fatigue today. So sleep disturbances. The biggest one in my life is my dog. He likes to get up, pretty sure multiple times, 2-3 times a night, minimum, start barking at something random outside that he thinks he may have heard something. So that one, or letting the dog out, drinking too much liquid water can send me to the bathroom a bit. You've got other things like snoring, people who snore, your sleep environment is too hot, too cold, the mattress isn't great, you don't have good neck support for your pillow. There's lots of different reasons. Just me being in a young family household, there's always risk of kids not sleeping or wanting your attention. For the most part, we don't really ever have kids wake up, and I don't wake up with kids in the bed anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing or sad thing, but they are growing up and taking care of themselves a bit more. Alcohol and drugs. Drugs are, alcohol is a depressant and it slows down your nervous system, disrupts your sleeping pattern. There's other ones that can be stimulants that can cause you to not go to sleep. Drink some coffee out of your Turtles cup a little too late in the day. That caffeine's going to transcend into the later evening hours and not make you as sleepy when it is time to sleep. Sedentary behavior, so just not moving, taking care of yourself, working on improving your health, fitness, and boosting your energy. Poor diets, oftentimes just low-calorie diets in and of itself can cause a lot of fatigue, especially if you're not doing it in the right way. Again, talking to people, a significant amount of my daily life is talked about food and portion control and food choices. If someone goes to McDonald's because they're short on time and they get even a cheeseburger and a small fry, that's 700 calories in just those two things. One, that's not a lot of food, so you're going to be hungry. And then later, you already had chewed up, 25% to 40% of your diet. Food in the day, depending on how many calories you're looking for. That can impact your energy levels. Individual factors, being ill. 'Tis the season right now. It's in January. So therefore, risk of illness goes up, and lack of sleep and fatigue can definitely add to that. Too many commitments. Financial problems obviously cause financial strain as well. Shifting shift work. So in the workplace, ways that your lifestyle can cause a lot of fatigue. So for shift work, if someone's working second or third shift, second shift, you probably get away with it a little bit and still manage if you weren't staying up till 3 a.m. But you got home and you got prompt to bed. That would keep you on a more regular, normalized schedule for humans. So there's that. And then what type of work someone does on shift work. If it's hard physical labor, if you're just sitting and not doing anything, say a security guard. I have a buddy, my other good friend, he is a corrections officer at a county jail overnight. And he does it, he's got 4 kids. He does it overnight to allow him to be more participatory in his kids in the day. And so that's important for him and his lifestyle, but it's also has a direct impact on his physical well-being. I never complain about being tired when I'm around Dan. He's for sure more tired than I am. Then we have workplace stress. It can range from a wide factors of what your actual job requirements are, the things you're responsible for, your familiarity with them or not, dissatisfaction of work, or your relationships with your management or coworkers, wherever you're at, or if you're the boss and you're not jiving with a couple people. For me, I am a people person. That bothers me if someone's not having success or is not pleased with my service, which I go way out of my way to make sure that when people sign up to work with me, that we are a good fit and it's going to be a very pleasurable experience on both ends of the spectrum, so that we can make some real good progress, and it's just fun. Threats to job security, right? If you're worried about your job security, that in and of itself is going to place some fatigue on you. And then burnout, we talked about, like workaholics, or just going too hard for too long and not actually having a break. That in and of itself can cause that fatigue. Last night, my daughter and I were trying to do karaoke she has this microphone thing, and we were listening to Miley Cyrus. It's her jam. She's 8. So I'm like, all right. So we're singing some of her songs and into the microphone. So it was a way for me to check out of my daily responsibilities and have a lot of good time with it. All right, movement. Too much, too little. We've gone over this, so we're going to keep moving through. But ultimately, if you don't move enough, I'm a big fan of 10K steps. So if you get 10K steps on your watch, then that will most certainly help with you being a more active, healthy person, which is a good thing. Physical issues related to fatigue, restless leg syndrome, certain cancers, or cancer in general is not good for the body. Anemia is low red blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen to you, energize your body. So when you breathe in, you get that transportation. So low iron counts will cause that in your blood cells. Pregnancy, certainly, as women, or even guys too, if you have a pregnancy in the household, it can cause disrupted sleep and fatigue. Obviously, more so for the ladies than the guys. But I have changed my fair share of diapers and been up a fair share of helping in the middle of the night. And I still do that most nights, like the dog. Like I'm up with the dog more than my wife is to manage that situation, to make sure she gets her beauty rest, and I'll suffice. I'll be okay. Diabetes and being with obesity. The obesity situation causes a significant amount of health conflicts. So sleep apnea, snoring, joint pain, excessive weight, all these things literally weigh on you and your health. Weight does affect snoring a bit more, although you could be at a healthy body weight and still snore as well there. But joint pain, we obviously know. If you're carrying an extra 20 pounds even, over time, that does affect achy knees. Chronic fatigue syndrome, being lethargic, extreme exhaustion, like you just don't want to, you're like glued to the floor, so much fatigue. There's headaches, there's swollen glands, things like that show up in your physical body. Now, when you actually reach out to the doctor or a professional, if you're experiencing something, I'll be conservative, always check with your doctor. But like a week or 2 weeks dealing with something, it's probably time to go to the doctor. At the earlier of this month, I went 3 weeks with a very, very sore, low voice. I could barely talk for like a laryngitis, which was inconvenient with when your work is spent talking the whole time. So that lasted about 3 weeks. I got a little over 2 weeks before I actually was like, you know what? I probably should go to the doctor. This is lasting a bit longer than anticipated. There's no pain or ache or sore. It wasn't strep. It just wasn't coming back. I had a copious amount of cough drops to help manage while I did talk. Other factors here, we have body weight. So your body weight increases the risk of fatigue just because of the physical weight that needs moved, or joint or muscle pains are constant, and it leads to a poor health. Chronic fatigue syndrome is very complicated and sometimes hard to diagnose as well, or there may be other underlying medical conditions that are going, but ultimately you feel extreme fatigue and no amount of caffeine is going to get you out of it. Speaking of caffeine, generally the body can take up to 400-ish milligrams in a day. That would be, like 4 cups of coffee. That would be like 4 espressos. That would be a 1.5 of those, the higher caffeined monsters, Bang or Reign. You do need to look at the can. Some of them are only 100 milligrams or 200 milligrams. Others are 300. So it obviously does add up and impacts. All right, fighting fatigue. What does this actually mean and look like for you? Well, eat well. Balanced meals. Again, this is what I talk about. If you guys have any questions, hit them up in the Q&A. I'd be more than happy to go over this with you. But we're going to be eating. Most people are going to eat 3 to 4 times a day. We want to eat enough food to get us to the next time you eat again. We want to have some protein, vegetables, fruits, some starchy carbs. We do want to consume water. The body is very much liquid. The more hydrated you are. Think of this example. Do you want your muscles in your body to be more like filet mignon or beef jerky? Ropey, hard, as opposed to supple and soft and pliable. Obviously, we want the filet mignon type muscle. So that is a muscle tissue quality issue that you have, muscle tissue quality. And the more hydrated you are, the more quality that'll be. The more you stretch, roll out, massage, do physical activity, the general healthier your muscle quality will be for it. So we know poor diets lead to overweight. You need to keep your blood sugar stabilized as best you can. That's having balanced meals helps keep that energy up. Eating too large meals can also keep you tired. What happens there is you put all these calories in this large amount of food in your stomach. Your body shunts the blood to your belly to work on digestion. So it leaves your extremities and focuses inward. That's why you're tired when you overeat. Think of any large meals or celebrations. Now, focus on nutrition. Nutritious foods, so fruits, vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy products, lean protein sources, healthy fats. We're looking to get away from saturated fats, salt, sodium, sugar type, those things. We want to limit caffeine, so just be, again, mindful of having too much, and it affects your sleep. This is by Precision Nutrition. It's one of my favorite slides. I've actually used this a number of times in the past, but this helps give you an idea of about how much food to have in a portion. This will create roughly a 400 to 600 calorie meal, depending on if you're male or female. So a palm of protein, a fist of vegetables, a cup of carbs, and a thumb of fat. Now, I will always tell you to have 2 or 3 or 4 fistfuls of vegetables on your plate. The protein and the carbs should be more similarly in size for them. And that's a good equation for you to think about. Okay, so protein and carbs are similar sized. Then I triple the amount of vegetables I put on the plate. And I'll put a little bit of fat or omit the fat in a meal. That creates a lot of good balance. Hydrate, we talked about this a little bit. I'm always going to round up. They say you need 64 ounces of water a day. I'm going to round up to more. That's going to look like women, hey, can I get you to drink 80 ounces or more? Men, can I get you to drink 100 ounces or more? So these are just personal coaching preferences I have. Again, if I'm working with a lot of people looking to manage their body weight, I want them to be full. A way to help them stay full is by constantly putting water in their stomachs. So if you drink water consistently throughout the day, then you're able to take up some volume in your stomach while keeping your calories in check. So it's just a really easy hack for you to be able to manage that. So definitely, I personally do count coffee and tea as long as they're not drowning in calories. Again, going back to my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cup. So I'll have coffee in this, or I've got a big water. The water container's upstairs, but it's 40 ounces. I carry that around with me. I take it with me. It's got a nice little handle that I already broke once, and I had to reinforce with some copper wire and some electrical tape. So it's now sturdy. It's not going to break again. But I drink from that regularly throughout the day. So my goal is to get 2 to 3 of those. I generally think of it like this. If I have 40 ounces of liquid, I'm drinking that first 40 before noon, second 40 before 6, third before bedtime, which is about midnight. So I will have roughly, say, a 5-hour chunk to get 40 in, a 6-hour chunk to get 40 in, and then roughly another 5 to 6 hours to get 40 ounces in. So if we do some simple math, every 6-hour chunk, that's 40 ounces. I'm trying to get 6 to 7 ounces an hour to stay hydrated. That's not that much. Let's say half a can of bubbly every hour. That's completely doable and manageable over the course of the time that I stay up. If you need, you can certainly buy the drinks that have the little motivational lines and quotes on them. We can have elastic bands to help you remember. We can set alarms. There's lots of ways to have water flavored, like the bubbly water. We bought a Soda Stream, and I don't even put the syrup in. I just like sparkling water that much. It's just that enjoyable. So focus on quality sleep is next. So we want to have your bedroom ideal for you. So we want to, sleeping well, we want to avoid situations of late work or staying up too late. Or if you can get out of shift work, then that's great. I don't think anyone here probably doesn't do shift work. Jet lag, sleep apnea, narcolepsy, insomnia. These are all things that you need to focus a lot more on your sleep quality, your sleep routine. Going to bed and getting up at the same times work really well there. It helps train your brain. Keep naps brief. Who doesn't like a really long afternoon nap sometimes? But usually you don't want to get into a REM cycle there. So keeping it 20 minutes or less can just kind of refresh your system, get you to feel more alert and awake. Have time to relax. I personally like doing Sudoku before I go to bed. It gets me to stop thinking about whatever and focus on numbers, which is not what I've been thinking about all day. So I can go to the singular mind focus, and wow, I power down very quickly. So that's been a good strategy. People read, of course, same difference. The only thing with reading is if you have too much imagination and you're living in the world that you are in and you're just an avid reader, that might perpetuate the binge reading type situation where you don't want to put the book down. Having cut back on the water, alcohol, things so that you don't get woken up. Next up is maintaining a healthy weight. So carrying excess weight obviously makes you more tired and problematic for you on your heart. So going back to all the things that we had focused on already, portion control, healthy habits, lifestyles, those are going to be super duper important to help frame eating good food choices and practicing portions. So it's not a diet, it's a way of life. Moderation, clean eating refers to you eating healthy foods, not junk food in a sense. cooking at home, controlling your ability to make food, moving your body, managing stress. So ways to reduce stress on your body. Effects of stress show up in tension and headaches, pain, problems, issues. The next up is anxiety, restlessness. There's a lack of motivation, feeling overwhelmed. On your behavior, you may over or undereat. People who get stressed do undereat sometimes. There's anger, there's mood issues. There's a lot of different things that can cause issues there. Lack of exercise. So aim to find ways to reduce your stress. Let's actively focus there. So certainly you are allowed to watch TV and surf the internet and play video games. We just want to control it. Okay? Those can bring a lot of pleasure to people within reason. So again, we circle back to some of these, the exercise, meditation, breathing techniques. Deep breath in and exhale. Massage. There's a lot of positive things that can happen for you with progressive relaxation type stuff. Finding humor in your life and laughing, smiling, spending time with those closest to you that you enjoy spending time with, not just because they're close to you. Have hobbies, have things that make you an interesting person. My second son is turning into a very interesting person. He plays viola. He's in the Philharmonic. He does steel drums. He's an artist. He's actually had his art in a number of different places. The mayor's office, the Akron Art Museum, there's art galleries he's been in. He's getting a a Scholar Art Award this weekend. He's in the play. He was tech last time. He's actually in the play this time. He's got a sourdough bread starter. Kid's baking sourdough and so he's got all these layers to him all of a sudden. He's 13. I'm like, wow, he's a pretty cool person to hang out with. He loves music and he loves dance. He used to dance for years. So the guy has got some rhythm and stuff. He's a very interesting person to be around and can have a big scope. And then we travel well. We have traveled a significant amount of places in the last 8 years. And we even went 3 international destinations last year: Finland, Costa Rica, and London. So this kid has a very robust life, and he can pull on a lot of different levers to relate to people and just be an enjoyable person to be around. So you want to be multi-dimensional. So staying physically active, find people to work out with, find times in your day that make it enjoyable, do something that you like to do. Start small, work your way up. That's super important as well. You don't have to go to the gym that first time and ultimately be so sore you can't walk up the stairs. That's not productive. Other forms of recovery with exercise: foam rolling, stretching. I do that pretty regularly when I'm working out. And then if you needed a nap, obviously take it. This is basic exercise recommendations. 150 minutes of moderate exercise. Think of brisk walking. 75 minutes of vigorous activity. Think of doing a couple classes on your Peloton or your running or your some boot camp class. 2 days of strength training, actually doing some form of muscle building activities. Sure, we all think of lifting weights, but it can be Pilates. Pilates on the Cadillac Reformer, you are basically doing weightlifting with your body, just doing different styles of it. At most, aim for 30 minutes a day. And again, I'm a big fan of getting steps in, so 10K steps a day works really well. And then walking, cleaning, scheduling it like an appointment. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. So I appreciate your time today. Would love to open up for any questions that you may have. Can certainly we can talk about this. Most importantly, when we look at fatigue, if you are struggling with fatigue and it feels more chronic, you probably should go to the doctor and get that looked at. If it feels like more stress, anxiety, worry type, depression type, you probably should go talk to someone. If it feels like, wow, I'm very sedentary and my step counts, I'm not even close to 10K, Brian. I'm at like 3,000 in a day. Go to a personal trainer. Go to a gym. That's going to help your fatigue. Just like the Javesser with his 15K steps, getting his insomnia cured. If you're not good in your body, you don't like what you see or the way you feel, then let's get moving. Let's be active. Let's take care of ourselves. These will help naturally resolve fatigue in your everyday life. So I really appreciate your time today.